Hey everybody, welcome to Wings on Katella, episode 24, side B. Full transparency, we recorded episode 24 about a week ago. All audio got lost. So we're on a different format. It's probably going to look different than any other Wings on Katella than before. But we have Thomas Murray to thank for all the editing and producing he does. Thomas Murray is with us. Real quick, Wings on Katella, if you're unfamiliar with us at this point, 24 episodes in, we cover Orange County sports for the Sporting Tribune. So you can check us all out at www.thesportingtribune.com. We cover the Anaheim Ducks, the Los Angeles Angels, among other things. Thomas Murray, I mentioned you first. Thomas, the train engine, Murray. How you doing, pal? I know you're a little under the weather today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a little sick. Some high school kids, I think, got me last week, but all good. Just resting up here and pretty good though. How about yourself?
I am alive and going forward today. That's where I'm at. So we'll keep it easy on Thomas today. Jack went up the hill, but he left Jill, and we're okay with that. So how you doing? Jack James is with us.
I'm good. I'm very tired. Had a long week of assignments for school as we're hitting the home stretch of this semester, my final semester. So happy to get that out of the way. Gonna relax this weekend. But yeah, just tired and good.
Zach Kavanaugh is also with us. Zach, where did you leave Cody?
What?
See, man, I think I
Did you not
finally
watch Zach
found.
and Cody?
I think I finally found. I
You
didn't
didn't
watch
get
it, but I
that
know
one?
that
See,
reference.
no. So first of all, I didn't hear exactly what you said. I thought you said Comey, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Uh Zach and Cody, yeah, I mean, they're
Was Comey the guy that we were supposed to go save in
that
Africa
was
in
no
2010?
that Coney 2012 is who we were supposed
That's
to
right.
get. We were
2012.
supposed
That's
to
right. That's right.
we were supposed to get rid of him. He was an evil warlord, Taylor.
That's right. Not save.
Yeah.
Supposed to rid him. That's right.
Yeah.
Few people from him.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Zach. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm living the
Yeah.
sweet life.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah. See?
Actually, there was a girl I went to high school with that actually dated one of them. I don't know which one. She also dated like Wiz Khalifa or something. So that's going on.
Sure.
Today on Wings on Katella, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Cutter Gauthier has not stopped scoring. The Anaheim Ducks have not stopped scoring. We're going to talk plenty about the Anaheim Ducks, the Angels. We're going to talk some Angels stuff, some coaching staff stuff, some international market stuff, and some World Series thoughts, among other things. To start, the Pacific Division leading Anaheim Ducks. That's not a sentence I thought I'd say at this point in the season, but the Pacific Division leading Anaheim Ducks will not stop scoring. They dropped another touchdown and the extra point last night again against Dallas. They have scored 7 goals in 4 of their first 13 games, 4 out of the last 12. That means 1/3 of their last 12 games. They have scored 7 goals. A scoring rate that has only ever been matched twice before at this stage of the season, both by the Penguins in the 95-96 season and the 2019-2020 season. Thank you, Steve Brown, for that note. Question for the group, and we'll just open floor here. Who has more touchdowns this year? The Anaheim Ducks, Travis Kelce, or Russell Wilson?
I gotta say it's the Ducks.
Gotta say it's the Ducks. I definitely know it's not Russ.
I think it's Kelsey has at least 4, right?
Zach Kavanaugh, you are the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift expert, and you should know that Travis Kelce only has 3 touchdowns on the season. The
I
Ducks
don't
have 4.
I
You're
don't keep
also the
track of his
Ducks expert,
stats.
so that's fine. It's
I
okay.
don't keep track of his stats. I just know what
That's
he's on
fine.
the screen. Yeah.
Majority of scoring coming from one man by the name of Cutter Gauthier, who is currently tied for the league lead in goals with 11 goals. He is tied.
I think he just scored another one right now.
Yeah, I
actually.
don't kid.
Yeah.
Well, as of this very second, he is tied for the league lead in goals with a man by the name of Sidney Crosby. You may have heard of him once or twice at some point in your life. Cutter is on pace for, what was it, Jax? Very fine and nice number. 69 goals this year. Very nice 69 goals on pace for. A lot to break down here when it comes to the Ducks scoring. We're going to go to our Ducks primary man, Zach Kavanaugh. What do we got, man? Cutter Gauthier doesn't stop scoring. The Ducks don't stop scoring. They're playing some good hockey here. We'll touch a little bit more on how good of hockey they're playing.
Yeah, they're so first of all, the seven goals 4 times in a season. They've never done that in franchise history. They've never scored 7 goals back to back in franchise history until the last couple nights. They have matched the amount of 7-goal games they had in the last 4 seasons combined with the games they've had this season. Uh, their best start since 2014-15, where they were 10-3-0, and now they're 9-3-1. I mean, I think we
real quick on your 4-season note. So we mentioned it, 4 7-goal games in the last 12 games. The last 4 7-goal games the Ducks had before that took 314 games.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was one note I pulled up last night. It took 314 games for them to do 4 7-goal games.
Every single stat that keeps coming out is just as mind-boggling as the next, because I think even in our wildest expectations of, Joel Quenneville was going to come in and, the team was going to play differently and maybe more up-tempo and a little bit more aggressive offensive. And sure, Leo Carlson would take a jump and Cutter would take a jump and Chris Kreider can bounce back to form and all these things. I don't think anybody could have anticipated it being this electric, because not only are they putting up all those numbers, they're leading the league in goals per game by a significant margin. Like, they're the only team that's over 4. I think the Maple Leafs are the next at like 3.7 or something like that. They are, and the thing with the offense too is, like, yes, they're scoring at an extremely high rate. Their expected goals per game is not that far behind what their actual goals are, which means this isn't smoke and mirrors. That even if they regress to the mean, whatever that ends up being for them this season, they're going to kind of be able to keep putting the puck in the net. And that is the number one most important thing I think this team could have been doing at this point, because defense, yes, they are giving up a lot of chances. The penalty kill for as many shorthanded goals as they've put in is not as effective as you really would want it to be. However, if you can, as I mentioned on my Ducks in Deep yesterday here on the Sporting Tribune YouTube, it's not like the perfect comparison, but if you look at the Edmonton Oilers, right, a team that's been to the Stanley Cup Final 2 years in a row, to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final 2 years in a row, what has their problem always been? Defense and goaltending every single time. But the Ducks, or what Edmonton does, is they outscore their problems. And Lucas Dostal is a much better goaltender than anybody that's put in the Oilers' crease in the last 5 years or even a decade. The Ducks' defense is such an incredible amount of young talent that you figure they'll get better as the season goes along and they'll figure it out. And some of these guys are. That if they can keep scoring like they are, I mean, I don't know where this team can end up at this point. There will be a regression. Like, again, we're 12 games into the season. They will go through a bad streak at some point. But right now, it's hard to imagine how that will even occur, aside from just getting snake bit, because they're generating chances and they're putting them in the net. And it's working, especially in games like last night where they could have collapsed. They could have crumbled. Dallas could have, surged back ahead. And they didn't let them, because they just keep their foot on the gas and they keep pushing along.
Something you mentioned a few things, and I don't know if I didn't fact check this. So this is full clarity. Didn't fact check. The Ducks are averaging 4.2 goals per game.
4.15.
4.15. I think the Angels average 4.2 runs per game in victories. I've got to look at Beyond the Halo. I think put it up, and I can't remember what but it was like the Ducks are outscoring the Angels on average pace. You also mentioned something about regression, and I want to bring this up, is Cutter Gauthier, right? We're talking about Cutter, leads the league in goals above expected. So there is going to be a slight regression coming somewhere. At least you'd expect it. But on the same note, Chris Kreider leads the league in expected goals per 60. So you're going to expect him to kind of ante up and counter some of the regression with progression. So if you see, Cutter's obviously here and maybe Chris is here, you start seeing that kind of play level. Yeah. It's still good scoring, right?
But even Cutter's shooting rate, I think it's 17 or 18%.
It's 17.
Like,
it's high, but it's not crazy high. No, like, even if it goes down to whatever's normal, which is probably like 12.
When are we going to start calling it Cutter's corner, by the way? Because he's flipping he's flipping the wing, right? Ovechkin's got his wing, right? He's got 900 goals from that wing. Congratulations, Alex Ovechkin, and big fan. We're all big fans of Alex Ovechkin, but Cutter's got the opposite wing right now. Flying right wing, and I don't know the metrics. I don't have it in front of me, but I have to assume half of his goals are from that wing right now, in that zone, right off the right face-off dot.
Yeah,
in
something
that
like that.
zone within range,
Yeah.
within 5 to 10 feet of that range. But something we were talking about, I mean, I don't know. Let's just keep going on this pace. Is the Ducks continue to keep scoring? Jack, I want to hear your thoughts about it, whether it's about Cutter, whether it's about the Ducks in a whole, whatever it is.
I'll do Cutter first real quick. I mean, yeah, he's shooting 17%. I looked at Alex Ovechkin's shooting percentage over the years. At the height of his powers, he was shooting 17%. So is Gauthier gonna shoot 17% the rest of the season? I don't think so. He's bound for regression slightly, but like it's not like he's getting lucky. Like he's a goal scorer. He was always tabbed as a goal scorer, a pure goal scorer when he was drafted and coming through Boston. And I don't think like he's not going to score 69 goals like he's on pace for, but like going into the season, I was like he could score 30. He hardly had any play power play time last year and he scored 20. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he keeps not at this pace, but he keeps scoring at a high level and he might find himself in the top 10 in goals by the end of the season. And then the Ducks as a whole, like you said, Zach, smoke and mirrors. You basically made my entire point that I was going to make in my notes. So I'll just say some numbers real quick.
Zach's really good at stealing
Yeah.
the notes that he never saw. So we're all on the same page mentally,
Sorry.
which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, you said we're on the same page here, but I'll just kind of emphasize the numbers for a second. On the smoke and mirrors point, their goals for per 60, like their actual goals for per 60 is 3.26. Their expected goals per 60 is 304. So it's not really that much of a difference. Like these goals are real. And then what else are going to get into? Oh yeah, the defense. You mentioned the defense, Taylor, and Zach mentioned it too. Like they got to they got to tighten up on defense. You're not going to be scoring at this pace all year long. You're going to have droughts. You're going to have times where guys get injured because it's hockey. It's just natural. And you're going to have to, really tighten up defensively. And their defensive numbers, if you look at the expected goals against per 60, it is 3.37, which is by far the worst in hockey. And funny enough, if you look at the Ducks' history in the analytics era, their 3.4 expected goals for is by far the highest, and their 3.37 expected goals against is second worst behind the Leo Carlson draft year worst team in franchise history, Anaheim Ducks. So they do need to get better defensively. They have some stuff to get better at, but at the same time, when you're thinking about playoffs this early into the season and what might be sustainable, if you don't have to be good defensively to make the playoffs. You just have to be decent enough or close enough to average if you have a great goaltender, which the Ducks just happen to have a great goaltender in Lukas Dostal, who can take the brunt of the work at times. It can steal you a game if for some reason your offense, isn't clicking that night. So I don't want to say playoffs at game 13 out of 82, but I'm a little bit more confident in saying it now than I was, heading into the season expecting improvements, not to this level.
The hardest thing to do in this league is put the puck in the net. It's the single hardest thing to do.
When's the last time the Ducks had a legit offense that was top of the league? Like even at their powers, they weren't like a legit top offense. They were built on defense and goaltending.
Yeah.
It's incredible because again, you just look at the way this team has played the last few years. For as bad as the defense ended up being, they still were just so incredibly inept on the offense. And I mean, the power play is middle of the league, and that is helping. And that's some of the small increments they needed to get back into contention is finding their offensive stride, and they're doing that double, triple than what we expected, and even just get the power play to the middle of the league, which they are. And it's incredible how much that helps.
Heading into the season, I just wanted everything to be average.
Right. Yeah. and they're above. They're above.
Something I want to touch on, and I'm guilty of it. You guys were good about it. I'm guilty of it. Is I gave Pat Verbeek a lot of crap. I gave him a lot of crap.
Yeah, deserved at times.
Deserved, but at the same time, no, they did not get Mitch Marner, right? Which, whatever. Hindsight being 2020, they weren't getting them anyways. Doesn't matter. They didn't get Nikolai Ehlers. They didn't get Brock Besser, right? And we criticize them for not going and getting a goal scorer. ring ring. Who is it? Destiny. Cutter Gauthier, man. I mean, legitimately, they developed in-house their own gold belt. I mean, they went and traded for him. And also, the Chris Kreider acquisition is all as well. I mean, I hope Casey Terrence is doing great out in New
Carey.
York with Carey. I hope Carey's
Yeah.
doing great with New York and everything like that. But the Kreider acquisition, while maybe focusing internally on finding the back of the net, I don't know if I can't imagine Pat viewed Cutter Gauthier as a 60 a 50, 40, 30 goal scorer, maybe a 30 goal scorer, but not a 40 or a 50 or 60 goal scorer, 70 goal scorer for the season. I have to give him a little bit of an attaboy for the way he developed this roster. Because, Zach, you and I talked about it at nauseum. Start of the year, breaking the team down on opening night. They had 3 scoring lines, man. And some of those lines aren't even scoring yet. I mean, you've got the regression, but you've got the progression, too. Killorn isn't finding the back of the net. Granlund, obviously has dealt with his injuries, but he's not finding the back of the net just as much as
Still a point per game player.
Yeah, but it's like
8 points in 8 games.
Ryan Strome's going to come back and he's going to produce at some level. You have some capable goal scorers that haven't really hit their stride yet, right? Mason McTavish has been fine, but he hasn't done what he's necessarily supposed to do.
Yeah, he's been really good, just not necessarily putting up the points. Yeah.
We always come back to it, though.
But again, 10 points in 13 games. Like that's
right, exactly.
It's still solid.
Yeah.
It's
Troy
very good.
Terry has 15 points. Leo Carlson has 20 points.
No,
Leo.
The Ducks are scoring, but they have more left in the tank. Even though there's regression to come, I think there's going to be a level ante. Yeah. We come back to
I also don't think that Chris Kreider is going to be a goal per game player, but he's got 9 and 9.
Yeah, and he's putting together a Cy Young season. He's 9 and 1.
Thomas, I want to go to you, and I know you're not feeling well, so I appreciate you kind of jumping in with us and everything. We always come back to the defense here. We're not going to worry about Luke Stochdahl. He's fantastic. But if they hit their stride at the right moment, particularly May and June, when it's most important, and right now the Ducks look they might be playing in May. I don't know about June, July. Yeah, July.
No, the Flyers are playing in June.
They are players, but
according to Thomas.
But the trade deadline, the Ducks have pieces to get better. They have plenty of pieces, and they can use the pieces that might be future pieces. Ian Moores, Olin Zellwegers and stuff, but there's room to improve. Do you think that this team with a better defense, and you're going to have to probably go out externally, you're going to have to develop internally, but you have to go externally probably to be a big member this year. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Thomas? So you're the one that kind of had the Ducks making a pretty nice little run into the postseason.
Yeah. So are you asking me, do I think they might be potentially buyers when it comes to trade acquisitions this year?
I'm just trying to think, would another defenseman, a more solid rounded defenseman that helps this entire core, turn them into contenders?
I mean, yeah, of course, that would help anybody. I think that'll help them with, the issues they're having defensively, but regardless, I don't know. I would like to just see this, whether they do decide to go out and get somebody or not. I really do want to see this team just kind of ride with what they got. And, I think this team is definitely good enough to make the playoffs. I know that was kind of the vibe I had coming into the season was, I know I said that I had them finishing 3rd in the Pacific. And everyone was a little shocked, like, whoa, it's a big jump. But I'm like, I don't know. There's something about this team this year where I was just kind of feeling like, I think they can do it. I think they're going to be a better coached team. Because last year, I didn't think they were too bad at times. But, I think a lot of their flaws were just kind of held to coaching. And so I think when you get somebody like Quenneville running the show, you're seeing exactly what you're seeing right now, and you're seeing the offense make these jumps and hurdles across the ice, and they're scoring, everyone's having a great time, and yeah, no, I definitely think this team will be a playoff caliber team. The only reason I might not want to see them buy is because I think you kind of get the vibe of what you have, you understand your team a little bit, and then see how far you can make it in the playoffs this year, and then when next year comes around, okay, you have, your young guys are all experienced in the playoffs. We've been there, we've done that. Maybe next year is the year where you make a deep push, to go and, try to get a title.
I saw a
Yeah,
lot
to
of
to
I
to
saw a
build
lot of head
on
nods. Yeah, go ahead,
to
Zach.
build on
I
what
saw both of you had nodding your head agreeing.
Yeah.
well to build on what Thomas was saying there. I think the thing that's I would like the team to run with what it's got right now because it is running so well. I don't think there's any reason to look to break things up, particularly because one, Radko Gudas is still out on the defensive board, and he was actually playing pretty well for
He
his
was
own
playing.
standards. So we'll see what he's like when he comes back from injury. But in addition to that, even with him out, Ian Moore's stepped up and been extremely effective. Extremely effective. Scored his first goal last night as an NHL
Scream it
player.
to the heavens, man.
I love it.
Salt Lake's own.
Yeah, he's only the fifth guy born in Utah to score an NHL goal. Um, at least
I'll
that's
come
what
back to
NHL
that.
stats said last night.
Trevor, I'm going to come back to that mentally.
Here, I can pull it up real quick.
It's Daniel Brickley, Trevor Lewis.
Actually, he's the fourth player from the state of Utah to score a goal. Steve Konowalchuk,
Yeah,
Trevor Lewis,
Daniel Brickley.
and Dylan Olson.
Oh,
Five NHL games played.
Richard Bachman, greatest goalie in Utah
Yeah.
history. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm pulling back up the Zoom window. But yeah, so and then in addition to that, Tristan Luneau looked NHL ready in the preseason. So he's a guy that can step up, and get in there. I think if the Ducks are to do anything, I think I don't know that they trade for another defenseman down the road. I think what they do is trade the defenseman for even more scoring punch. Because the other thing to think about is Radko Gudas is in the last year of his deal. Does he end up staying with does he end up playing again next season? I think he says he wants to, but I'm not sure where his body's at, where his mind is at in terms of going home or not. Jacob Trouba has 1 year left in his deal, but he's playing some of the best hockey of his last several seasons. So maybe he sticks around as the veteran presence, on that defensive unit. I don't want to make any proclamations about what they should be doing defensively because I still feel like, and Quenneville said this as much, that they are improving day by day. And I think the thing you see is like they're improving within the game. I want to, I don't know if there's any way to break this down in terms of the expected goals. I'm sure there is if I dig hard enough, but it feels like a lot of these chances come early in the game and they sort of find their way as the game goes along into the pace, into what they need to do to shut down whatever the team is putting against them every night. And by the end of the game, the expected goal margin kind of tends to tilt their direction. And then in some of these games, they get up now in these last 5 games, and then they're absorbing for the last few minutes, so that then it kind of shrinks back. So I think there's some score effects going on with some of that, but there's the thing to remember with this defense is aside from Gudis and Truba, Olin Zellweger is 22, Pavel Mintyukov is 21, Ian Moore is 24, 23, but he's just out of college. Jackson Lacombe is still 24. These kids are all learning every day and getting better every day. And I'll make you can evaluate where they are in January if they're still leaky. But I mean, what do you want to plug up right now? Why would you try to mess up what is clearly a well-oiled machine at the moment?
Two things I wanted to build off that. One, I was going to shout him out at the end of the show anyway, but yeah, Ian Moore has been phenomenal considering the expectations this year. I mean, he's just a solid defense. Like he's not going to be an offensive force like a Zellweger or Minchikov could be at the height of their powers, but he is responsible. He is mature. He handles the puck well under pressure. He can move the puck well, pretty well out of the zone as well. I mean, he's just been so impressive from a guy that I didn't really have that much expectations for. Even though, like, since day one, I've liked his game as a steady defenseman, but he's exceeded my expectations. And then the other thing I was going to point out was Zach, you touched on the starts and how they give up first goal all the time, and the first period's not always the best period for them. I don't know if they have the same saying in hockey, but in my 4 years of playing college baseball, I heard this a lot. You're going to get punched in the mouth. It's how you respond to that. Do you jab back? Do you punch? Whatever. This team punches back. Like
Hard.
they don't take jabs. They get punched
Yeah.
in the mouth and they come out swinging in that second period. And I think that's one of the biggest differences in this team as compared to the last 8 years, especially the last especially the last like 5 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Like it felt like in the last 5 years, if they got down early, it was done. They were done. They had nothing to come
it
back
would
from.
snowball. It would
Yeah, it would.
snowball in
Yeah,
the
they would
worst
let
way. Yeah.
snowball everything, and it would spiral out of control. This team's different. Like they get socked in the face. They gave up 2 goals to. It was 2 goals last night, right, to Dallas in that opening period, and they came right back and just played unbelievable hockey for the first half of the second period. I mean, the whole period in general, but especially those first 10 minutes of the period.
Yeah, they trailed twice last night. 2-0, 3-2. It's we said about the Angels a little bit over the season is that it's a different team. We didn't say it was this different, but we're going to say it this year. It's a different Ducks team than the past half decade or further. Speaking of the Angels, we're just going to pivot. We're going to go talk Angels for a minute, and then we'll come back to the Duck stuff. Part of our lost episode was a lot of talk about Kurt Suzuki's 1-year deal as the new manager of the Angels. Also, as we were recording, just to give you a time frame here, as we're recording, the Mike Maddux hiring had just happened. So this was last Friday at it was 8 o'clock in the morning. That's right. Woke you guys up. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's go open floor again. I know, Zach, you had some thoughts a little bit, and I feel like you're the one that's the most, I don't want to say negative, just open view, direct view to what it is.
Yeah.
Kurt Suzuki on a 1-year deal. Coaching staff is in question. We only know one member of the coaching staff, but we'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah. I don't feel like a 1-year deal is a good sign for anybody. Hey, we're excited about this brand new manager. We're gonna turn it around this year, boys. We're ready to go. Oh, how long is he here? Oh, he's got a 1-year deal. He's tied to the general manager. So if everything falls apart quickly, then everybody's done and everybody's out of here. I don't feel like that's a very good vote of confidence one way or the other. I'm we kind of went through this already, so I got my vitriol out a bit. But like the idea that of all the guys that ended up getting hired, it is Kurt Suzuki, and I know he has his bona fides and all that, but like the fact that he was the assistant to the general manager feels like you didn't go out of house to get a new voice. You just got a guy that's going to be Perry's voice, or somebody that Artie Moreno was willing to sign the lowball check for. Again, I think when we were talking, they had hired Maddux as the pitching coach at that time, and it's just sort of okay. But what does he have to work with? What does any of this matter if the roster is what it is? The Angels have so many more problems. Like we've touched on it plenty of times. It's 7 managers in 6 years, or 6 and 7. What was it? 6, 7.
Oh no! I don't have a swear jar, but I want to swear at you so bad.
But it's just like, what does any of this do? Really, what does any of it do? Like, if it's not like Kurt Suzuki is a Joel Quenneville. He's not coming in. He's not. I mean, who would be? It's not Bruce Bochy coming in, right? It's not somebody that you're like, oh, okay, this is a guy that's really going to take hold of this roster and morph them into something. It's maybe he does, but there's no track record. There's no way to know. He just seems like a guy that's here for 1 year, and if it works, cool. Like they got back to the playoffs, but to what end? Is it actually building towards something? It doesn't inspire me with any more confidence than I had before he was hired. What more do you want, really? Like you want some sort of energy for this franchise. It's so frustrating now, right? Watching the Ducks turn things around and then watch the Angels continue to flatline. That the Angels are a team that could have had the trajectory that the Ducks have, but they just seem to make these moves all the time that stunt their growth, and this kind of feels like another one to me.
That's fair. No, I think you've hit all the reasonable points. I think, well, and I'm trying to go back to our last episode. It is just to give a small pedigree, right? Because the question with Kurt was decision making, and Jack and I talked about it. This is a guy that has the second most innings caught since 2007 to 2023, 22, whatever he retired, 23, I think. Second most innings caught to Yadier Molina. So he has made in-game decisions, just not at the broad strokes scale. right? He's had the in-game decisions from behind the plate, not from the big seat. That answers at least that part of the question. Also, I view it as a good thing, the relationship between the front office and the manager. I think you need to have a good relationship between the two. Now, as you pointed out, who's really making the cut decision? Is it Perry in the front office or is it Kurt? And that's fine. That's something we're going to find out, I think, very quickly in this process. The 1 year deal, and I'm just going to all the key points and trying to breeze through them, but like we're headed to a lockout. We're going to have a lockout. It's going to be so a 1 year deal. Like I said, I think I mentioned it in the last show for Perry and for Kurt in particular, right? Kurt's got a way. He's got 1 year to say, hey, here's my short-term resume. Also, I've got some job experience. Like that's where I kind of view it for Kurt. Kurt is taking an opportunity to put in the resume for 2027, right? For Perry, if the Angels do well, he has an opportunity to leave and take a better job. If the Angels don't do well, the opportunity's gone, right? And we've all talked about it. We don't expect the Angels to really compete next year. And the Angels have one goal for next season is to be a playoff caliber team. And Thomas, you mentioned it. If they're 1 game out, 2 games out, but they win 90 games, that's a different story, right? That's a dramatic improvement. But this is a team that has to make a playoff push to some degree, and not just they've got to be a serious contender next year. And I don't see where they're going to do that. And I don't think Kurt Suzuki is the answer to that. But I think that it's an improvement that the organization is on the same front as their manager with a guy that has proven some degree of decision making. And that's not bashing Ray Montgomery, but Ray Montgomery had 0 decision making before this. Jack, going to you, and Thomas, I want to go to you, but I just know how you're feeling, so I apologize. But Jack, going to you on this, the Kurt Suzuki hiring, and I'm going to touch on the Mike Maddux thing after this. So the Kurt Suzuki hiring, the 1 year deal. Now that we post conference.
Yeah. I said this on the Lost pod, but I don't hate the hire. I hate the situation. You know, like Zach and you, Taylor, have laid out. You know, 1 year deal is just not setting up your manager to succeed in any way, especially with how the Angels have been ran the last decade. You know, it's just not sustained success anywhere in that organization. But you know, like you said, I mean, Kurt Suzuki, he was a catcher for 17 years, or something like that, 16 years. So he's had a lot of play calling. He knows how to handle pitching staffs. You know, and as a catcher, you have to be the manager in the moment because you're thinking ahead to different batters, who's coming up, who's probably going to get pitch hit for, how are you going to approach this and that, and it also, like, going back to the handling of pitching staff, it's got to mean something that he was Ohtani's like personal catcher when both of them were teammates as Angels.
Add Max Scherzer to that list as well.
Yes, and Max Scherzer, a couple of decent pitchers. I think you guys laid out everything that I had in mind. I think that was everything I had.
Oh, my bad.
There you go.
I was looking something up and had it out. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. This is where the Angels are at, and it's a situation you don't have to like because it is not a great situation to be in. Thomas, you were at the press conference, and we've talked about it ad nauseum internally between the 4 of us. But your thoughts on this as well?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that Jack pointed out when he was talking was being able, obviously no experience managing, but being a catcher and having to make those in-game decisions, deciding where the play is going to go to, being involved in every play. That's something that Kirk actually mentioned in the press conference. So there's that. So yeah, no, I mean, he's definitely had experience with having to make decisions on the fly, as a catcher. But the thing that I've and I said it on the last episode with Kurt Suzuki, I hired as the Angels manager, is just that I kind of feel bad for him because I think I think he could be a pretty good manager one day. I just think right now this is like the worst opportunity for him as a first-time manager, just because it's a 1 year deal. You're tied with the GM, and if he goes, you're gonna go, and I know we said it on the last episode. They're like, okay, yeah, he can get a job again, but it's still just gonna be, you know, just something there that's like, okay, you're a one and done manager. You're gonna have to go prove yourself again in a way. I know he's still young. He's only 42, but so there's that. But yeah, no, it's definitely a make or break year for the Angels, and they have to make the playoffs, right? But unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to be possible, especially with the only way I think they're going to make the playoffs this year is if they spend big in the offseason. But when your manager's on a 1-year deal and your GM is on a 1-year deal, the idea of spending big just seems very unlikely. It's almost kind of like we already know what their fate is going to be next year, and we're just kind of waiting on the next manager and GM to come in, and maybe then they'll end up spending. And also bringing up the lockout, like we're most likely going into the lockout, so it's just very unlikely the Angels are going to spend. So unfortunately, it's just probably going to be another 70 something win season, 71 2 win season for the Angels, and you're going to see Perry and Kurt Suzuki walk out, and it'll be a whole new regime with this team.
I mean, I think we've said it before that
Yeah.
the Angels programs go so far beyond one person.
Right.
Yeah.
Perry's not perfect. Kurt's not perfect. Artie is very much not perfect.
Yeah, well, if there is one person that it does not go beyond, it is Artie Moreno.
Yeah.
But it's like Perry's not great at times. Is Kurt the right hire? I don't know. Or any of these guys that they bring in the pitching room or whatever. Like,
how do you assess these guys? Yeah. Look at Jerry Dipoto, right? I mean, it took Jerry 10 years to go make the ALCS, but he's done well, right? Billy Epler has moved through a few organizations, a few things going on. It didn't work out in New York, but he went and had to go deal with more money, Artie Moreno, to a degree. Steve Cohen's awesome for spending the money, but, he wants to power himself, which is fine. That's part of the ownership. Now
he's just like the Mets are on an Indian burial ground or something.
Billy,
that's
to give you an idea,
not a them problem.
Well, Billy took a high front office position with the Milwaukee Brewers this last year. If you're unfamiliar, the Milwaukee Brewers were at a point the best team in baseball for an extended period of time. So how do you assess someone like Perry? How do you assess someone like Kurt or Ray? Or, I mean, you can assess Kurt and Ray based on the on-field decisions, right? But when it comes to Perry, you can assess Perry's made a lot of very good decisions. There's also a lot of things that he hasn't been able to do or done. I mean, depth is the biggest part of this, right? He has not been able to create depth because of emergency scenarios. Mm-hmm. He's taken, what's the term? It's like there's 50 feet of crap, then there's us, right? I think the Angels are somewhere in the middle of that 50 feet of crap because that's what they're dealt with, even though they have a hell of a lot more money than what Oakland had at that time, right? Yeah. But it's just, how do you really assess someone like Perry Manassian or anyone that's Jerry Dipoto, Billy Epler?
I think something you're touching on there in terms of like the longevity is something I hadn't really considered till you just said it. The Angels have been so focused over these last 5 years of making the playoffs right now instead of building out the organization properly. Like the farm system still isn't there, right?
No, like I've asked this question
and we talked about it during the draft. The guys they drafted, like, well, who can make an impact right now? It's like, no, don't worry about right this second. Get somebody that's going to be good in like 3 years. Give him time to develop. But you're so concerned with jettisoning this or pushing this thing forward immediately that you forget about the rest of it. And then when you get to the next year, there is no rest of it.
And we have hindsight being 2020 at this point. Is if Artie Moreno came out and used the words rebuild, who would be upset? Yeah. What the fan base, right?
Nobody.
Who in the fan base would be upset if Artie Moreno directly said, we're in a rebuild? And he said it 10 years ago.
If they committed to an actual plan, I think everyone would be okay with that. Even if they came out and said, our plan is we're going to buy everyone and try to make the playoffs.
Who was it? Billy's the one that said we had to restructure. He used the word restructure. I don't remember the term that Perry
and Bob used. Murray said retool.
No, well, that's the thing.
Retool on the fly.
Restructure. Because Artie won't let you say the word rebuild. And that's where Perry's at. Perry has had to rebuild on the fly, trying to be a playoff team. And we've seen the worst years of Angels baseball since.
And speaking of the former GMs, I mean, granted, Dipoto did make a playoffs in 2014.
It took him a decade. Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, you have two general managers that overall didn't have success as an Angels general manager, and they found general managing jobs elsewhere right after they left the Angels. I feel like that should say something about the Angels as a whole. Like, am I wrong?
Yeah.
No.
It,
Yes, you are wrong,
Yeah.
Jackson. No, you're not wrong. No, we're at that stage.
Like other teams in the league recognize how hard it is to be a GM for the I almost said Anaheim for the Los Angeles Angels.
Well, hey, look at Colorado, man. They just hired Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach, are you familiar with this? What I just said? Do you have
Paul
any idea what I just
DiPodesta?
said? Yeah. Do you get the
Yeah.
whole? Okay.
I've
So,
seen Moneyball. Yeah.
but some people don't know. So Paul DiPodesta is the Peter Brand. Peter Brand is a fictional character in the movie Moneyball, played by Jonah Hill. Peter Brand is based on a real person named Paul DiPodesta, who was recently hired by the Colorado Rockies as their new director of baseball operations. That was yesterday. So when you see me tweeting out GIFs of Jonah Hill doing this, and I put a Colorado Rockies thing on his hat, gun home. When I say off the rails, we need to change the name to this whole show to Off the Rails. We went a little off the rails. I want to come back, full circle cycle. We don't know who the coaching staff is for Kurt Suzuki, excluding one man by the name of Mike Maddux. Mike Maddux, longtime pitching coach, kind of a unique move. Mike was a Texas guy kind of through and through, had the opportunity to reach a new agreement with the Rangers under Skip Schumacher. Decide to head to Anaheim, go chill with Kurt Suzuki. Mike Maddux has had success kind of wherever he's gone. He's been to the World Series 3 times. He's won 1 ring. This is kind of a similar situation for Mike as it was in 2015 when Jeff Bannister became the manager for the Rangers. Kind of going on this, to give you an idea of the coaching staff, all of the coaching staff received a message of some sort, and this is from the organization, that they could go look for other opportunities. Some were also granted the opportunity to return to the organization. Now, the who and the what, I don't know. But the message that was sent out was, some of you guys are getting the opportunity to go look for other jobs. Actually, you all get the opportunity to look for other jobs. Some of you have the opportunity to come back. Some of you do not. Zach, you mentioned it. Mike Maddux has done good things. He has a lot of work to do, but he's got something to work with. It's just how much does he have to work with? You can't take Texas in a degree. When you get Nate Eovaldi, Jacob deGrom, et cetera, but he did have Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, guys of that sort. Open floor, Mike Maddux conversation. Whoever wants to take it.
Again, it's hard to, how do I say this right? It's hard to judge the coaching staff in some cases, because how much is Mike Maddux? How much is that Nathan Eovaldi and Jacob deGrom are rock stars, and they're just going to pitch good no matter who they have. But he does bring great experience. He's been around the game forever. I'm sure he's going to be a net positive. It's just how much of an impact is he really going to make? I guess it's kind of like a cynical look for me, just because it's like, big picture, what do you like? I don't know. He's here for 1 year. How much? At least 1 year, assuming the coaching change happens at the end of the year. I don't know. I don't know how much this is going to make. I'm just thinking long term. Like, this will help this year probably, but long term, what does this mean for the Angels? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it was cynical to say it all, and you made a note that right through my head there. Maybe it'll come back to me. Thomas, Zach, any thoughts on Mike Maddux here?
I think just to stay in line with Jack, I think every take that I have about this Angels franchise right now is a cynical one, because they have not proven without any shadow that they don't get any doubt.
They haven't earned the benefit of the doubt in the last decade.
That's the phrase I was trying to find. No benefit of the doubt, because okay, sure, Mike Maddux, he has a good track record. What does he have to work with? Really, like, what does he have to work with?
No, that's fine. No, you're right. That's what that's what I was saying. Is like, he has something. He's got Jose Soriano, Reed Detmers, right? And then you start talking about because they're probably going to get Tyler Bremner in his hands pretty damn quick. So you got Tyler
Right.
Bremner, you got Caden Dana, you got Kahanowitz.
Kikuchi.
Right, but for some of these guys, aside from Bremner, like how much have they already been sort of broken
Well,
by
that's the thing.
what the
That was
experiences
going to be my.
they've had?
That was the point I was going to make. It is someone asked me about Donnie Ecker. Donnie Ecker was the Rangers hitting coach during the World Series. Um, it, Donnie Ecker was also the hitting coach for AAA Salt Lake in the Angel system for a while, and I'm a huge believer in Donnie Ecker. But all of these guys, Jack, how many articles did you write this spring about guys talking to their offseason hitting coaches, their offseason pitching coaches, right? It's all these guys go to independent contractors, right? Independent coaches. So if you have someone that you believe in, and Mike Maddux has the pedigree, et cetera, right? You go to some of these guys are going to go to Driveline, no matter what. Doesn't matter what you tell them. You say, don't go to Driveline. They're going to go to Driveline, right? Maybe some of these guys buy into exactly what Mike Maddux is saying, and that's where the improvement is. You have to have that relationship between your coach and your players. Now, we don't know specifically. There are guys, I think Reed Detmers was a huge, was it Barry Enright or was it not Dom Cheedy? Jack, are you remembering when he went down and had to fix his slider? And it wasn't Barry Enright. Was it Barry Enright? See if you can pull that article up. But you have to have these guys believe in your internal candidates and have the trust of your internal candidates. Mike Maddux has such a long pedigree that maybe people believe in him, right? Maybe they'll start buying into what his philosophy is. Maybe they'll buy into that. But unless they do, and we won't know if they do until we hear from them and say that, no, I went to go see whatever the chump that coaches Aaron Judge, right? Whatever that guy's name, Richard Schechter, whatever his name is. I went to go see him this year, and I have a spine, I lean my spine in and all this. And I went to Driveline, and I throw 15 miles per hour faster than I ever did. And I'm the new Ben Joyce, You have to have these guys believe in your internal coaches. So if you believe in Kurt Suzuki, if you believe in Mike Maddux, if you believe in Barry Enright, whoever it is, right? That's where this is going to work. So
it was Barry.
It was Barry. So yeah, Reed Detmers, big. He fixed his slider under Barry Enright. So, Thomas, thoughts on Mike Maddux hiring? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the hire, just because, it's somebody who's been around baseball, has been doing it for a long time. But I also didn't hate having Barry Enright around this team because, again, like you said, he fixed Reed Detmer's slider. I always thought Barry was a pretty good pitching coach, and I still think Barry is like a nice up and coming coach that probably could manage one day. It's
And
just
this,
kind of,
just to come back on this,
yeah.
Zach, this is where your answer is questioned: is what did Barry Enright have to work with? So, Thomas, not to interrupt, but just Zach asked, what does he have to work with? And that's where Barry's flaws are: is he didn't have a lot to work with. So,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, definitely no. And even going back to like Barry's time in Arizona, he was assistant pitching coach and he did wonders for that Diamondbacks team that made the World Series that year. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just I would expect probably similar productivity out of the pitching under Mike Maddux as you will with Barry Enright, just because unless the Angels are gonna go out and spend, top dollar on arms, which I doubt. And unfortunately, they don't really have the arms on their farm because they haven't built the depth over the years. They've been very stagnant over the years, just kind of placing a band-aid over the team. It's like placing a band-aid over a wound that requires stitches. It's not going to ever heal properly, and that's just what the Angels are. And it doesn't matter who you're going to get in there. You can get Dave Roberts to manage this team, and they're probably going to win, maybe win like what, 3, 5 more games?
That's fair. Totally fair. The one thing I will say about Mike Maddux that we haven't touched on, he has almost 2 decades of progressive data of the teams he goes to, the pitching does improve statistically. Now, we mentioned that there are the Nate Eovaldi's and Jacob deGroms of the world to help that, but he has gone to teams that have progressively made it.
And I will say it's an impressive hire to get a guy with that much experience and that much pedigree, knowing the manager's on a 1-year deal and the general manager's on a 1-year deal. I will say that's pretty impressive to land a guy of his stature, given the circumstances of your organization.
Substantially. Let's move back to some Duck stuff, some quick little Duck stuff. Johnny Gibson made his return to Anaheim last week. That was on Friday night, not Thursday night, as I thought it was. Another fun little tidbit from our last episode. It's just my notes. Power play's hitting on all fronts, right? We talked about how the Ducks. I'm going to come back to Johnny Gibson and talk about that, but in the last episode, we were talking about how the Ducks took 7 of 10 points on the road. Screw that. Scrap the whole thing. They have taken 19 of 26 points on the season, right? The 7 of 10 points is a 70%. Right now, they're sitting at like a 74, 73% season total. So that's on pace. They did what they were supposed to do, right? How sustainable is this? What do you guys think? I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to be drawing a 70% of the point total here. I don't know. Is it sustainable that this is a team that keeps moving? We talked about it a little bit, but let's talk about it more.
I think it's certainly not at that pace. I expect some sort of regression. Like the team is too young to not have that happen to them. But also maybe Joel Quenneville knows what buttons to push and keeps this team rolling. I think the key thing that I come back to is what we talked about with the expected goals numbers. That even like the Ducks will not be scoring at the rate they are scoring. No, but when it dips, how low will it dip? Maybe not that much if the process continues as it is. And if I expect Lucas Dostal to be pretty consistent. I think they wanted him to play less games than he's going to end up having to play. But maybe Peter Mrazek has a bounce back against Winnipeg this weekend. Wouldn't that be nice for everyone? I think it's fairly sustainable. I think what you're seeing right now is yes, smallish sample size of 13 games, but I haven't seen any reason to believe that it wouldn't continue. Like the process is there. They like the process. They like the pace that they play at every night, and I think you see it from the players. There is we talked about it a bit in preseason, and then it was sort of like unbridled optimism, like new season, new coach, all that stuff. But even now, a few games in, now that they've seen results to the process, all of these guys are completely bought in to what they're doing, and they all get it. Even Frank Petrano, who finally scored his first goal over the weekend and is down on the fourth line, he's clearly a bit frustrated with his season, but he just knows that the team is winning and you have to keep contributing in your role whichever way you can, and that's working. It's working.
You toss game 1 out of this season, they've been fantastic.
Yeah, even game 1, like they lost to Seattle 3-1.
3-1.
But analytically, they were pretty damn good in that game. Like they just sort of took a second to figure out who they were, and they're good. They're a good team.
The thing I like to see, and this is different, it has nothing to do with what's on the ice. It has nothing to do with it, but I love seeing the pond filled. Honda Center was packed to the brim. Opening night was a record crowd, right? It was the largest crowd for hockey in Anaheim Ducks or in Honda Center history. Largest crowd for hockey, I think. I don't know if they had a bigger one, but either way, I love seeing the pond filled, and I've said it for a long time. I mean, everyone's aware I am not a Anaheim Ducks fan. I'm a fanatic of the Vancouver Canucks, but I've always said the Anaheim Ducks have an incredible fan base. I love the Ducks fan base. They're very loyal. They're very dedicated. They're loud. That's a loud arena when it's packed. And if you have everyone buying in, you have a packed house every night. These guys are going to want to play for a packed house, right? You don't want to play for the 10,000. And I mean, we saw the shift in Florida as well. But I'm going to let you guys chat on that for a second. I'm going to go on mute real quick.
All right.
No, I think everything just sort of builds on top of each other, right? I mean, we mentioned the bad snowball with some of these games before, but I feel like now once one thing starts to work, everything starts to work, and they just sort of find their way down the road, right?
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about with the defensive issues that this team has, and the offense isn't going to keep up at this pace for the whole season. They're going to have dry spells. And then it's going to be a focus on the defense and how much can it improve as the season goes on. And even if it doesn't, Lukas still has the ability to keep them in games and keep them competitive when the offense isn't clicking. But it's so interesting to see how this team's going to be just because of how defiant of expectations they are playing.
Yeah. And Thomas, I mean, you got to see him in person the other night against the Panthers. You saw one of those 7 goals. You saw how that game kind of went, where Florida punched back as a championship team does, but the Ducks found their role and they really put the hammer down. Even when Leo
Yeah.
Carlson went out, that's when they put the hammer down.
Yeah, I mean, especially that last 10 minutes of the third period, the Ducks just that's what winning teams do, right? They find ways to win and put games away, and that's what the Ducks did. And they did it on you know, the two-time Stanley Cup champions. That was I don't know, that was a big statement by them. Just, it was tied, I believe, at 4. They were up at 4-3, and then they go on and score like 3 more in that third period. Like that was just incredible. They really just put that game away, and yeah, this is a good team. They're learning how to win, and that's kind of why earlier too I was saying I don't know if you necessarily break up anything of the band, keep it all together, because let's see what you have and really see how far you can take this thing and take it into next year.
Sorry, guys. I had
There you go.
to run. I have a window right here, and there are people that will come to my window every now and then that work for me and they're doing things, and they have to talk like that right now. Right now. Zachary. I have no idea. I have no idea what you guys just talked about for the last 2 minutes. So
we talked about how we're gonna mutiny you. I'm the host now, Taylor.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Sweet. What do you got, man?
So, I mean, we're just talking about how this team is like, we talked about the negative snowball that would happen in previous years, but now it feels like a positive snowball where like you do these things and one thing begets another, and there's an energy that courses through the team. And Thomas went to the game against Florida, in the stands and watched, and he saw that when this team can put the foot, they're learning how to put the foot down on the throat in a winning scenario and figure out how to win. Maybe not so much last night in Dallas, where Dallas is a really good team and a dangerous team, and they sort of claw their way back. But the Ducks still do enough late to win the game and not blow it like a young team could. They're figuring out how to win night after night.
Well, and, something to move on to, unless you want to play host duty. Cool with that. Whatever you want.
You can take the wheel back. It's fine.
John Gibson's return, right?
Yeah.
In the past, when a guy would return, the storyline was more about the guy coming back to Anaheim, right? And John Gibson, obviously, franchise player, very important to this organization. It's not taking away anything from him, but the storyline was not about John Gibson coming back. It was about the Ducks winning 5-2. Which, if we're talking in the past, right, the Ducks were, the Ducks lost 4-1, and Teemu Selanne was honored in a ceremony. Cam Fowler came back for the first time, and Steve Ruchin is alive. So, I don't know, like things like that, right?
I get you. Yeah. The Cam Fowler game from last year stands out as like a thing where it felt like they were all unmoored seeing their old friend on the other side and just didn't know how to respond. Whereas with this game, like I had every intention to go down to the Red Wings locker room afterwards to talk to Gibson, because I figured the game will sort of be a whatever, like the game might be a whatever sort of game, and I'll go talk to Gibby because of the things that could happen. He's still probably going to be the biggest story of the game is his return. And
it was, but not really.
But it wasn't. Like Troy Terry comes out of the gates and scores on his old friend to open the game. And the Ducks again go up. I think it was 2-0 in the game, and the power play does well, and the penalty kill does its job. And
if it was the same story the last 4 years, it would have been Troy Terry scored on his good friend. And sentence. Here's John Gibson's quotes for hey, how was it coming back to Anaheim? Which that's what we have to ask. But what
yeah.
Speaking
and knowing Gibby, he would probably every quote that I saw from him that did get out there was sort of the same quote that I expected him to have. And the other thing was just I am a little disappointed with the way the schedule broke down, where the Red Wings were playing a back-to-back, and the Ducks are just coming from out of town, so there was no opportunity to talk to Gibson outside of the game for me. But he still got his painting from the Samuelis, and I know he met up with some of the guys like directly after, before everybody got on their bus and left. But
I think it would have been really fun if they would have played Cam Talbot. That's me.
Yeah.
quick thoughts before we close out on Duck stuff, guys. John Gibson returning, obviously, staple of the Ducks franchise. We talked about it. What was it? 12 years in the Ducks organization when you combine totals. Jack, Thomas, Zach, anything. John Gibson. When I think Anaheim Ducks, especially the last 15 years, John Gibson's a full circle guy that I put on the front of the map.
Yeah, I mean, second all time in wins in franchise history, only two behind Shiger, I think. Only two behind Shiger. Um, he had to be the brunt of some very bad Anaheim Ducks teams. He faced a lot of rubber over the last 8 years because the team in front of him was just so bad defensively. It's a shame that he doesn't get to. He wore down the entirety of the rebuild, and he doesn't get to see the other side of it. That part's kind of disappointing. But at the same time, it's a move that made it made sense to move him. Whether you can argue the trade was good is, hindsight will tell. But the move itself was
Peter
probably
Mrazek
the right.
is 2-0, Jack. What are you talking about?
And the Ducks average 7 goals a game when he plays in net. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, you have Lucas Dostal coming up. It just made sense, and obviously Gibby wanted. It seemed like he wanted out. But yeah, he faced a lot of rubber, and he was on some very bad Ducks teams. So it kind of just sucks just to see him not see the other side of this rebuild.
Thomas?
Definitely. The one thing, like you, Taylor, the one thing that I really thought of the Ducks of the 2010s, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, John Gibson. I remember my brother's a big Ducks fan, and he was just telling me like, "Oh, dude, you gotta watch this goalie, John Gibson." And then so we watched him. I'm like, "Yeah, this guy's pretty good," And it sucks to see, like Jack was saying, it sucks to see him on the other side of the rebuild we're seeing them as this young, exciting, fun team. Everyone's loving them on social media, NHL Network. It's all over the place. All the love for the Ducks right now, and then like we're seeing it happen, come to fruition without Gibby. So like that definitely does suck. But it's pretty cool though to see him have his homecoming night. Everything that happened for him. I also do want to say like I did a few Ducks games last year, and Gibby was, every time we talked to John Gibson, he was like one of the nicest guys in the locker room, and like just nothing but like mad respect for him, and you know kudos.
Yeah, give me a true class act among class acts. When it comes to hockey players, and there can't Jack sort of put it all. Like for as good as like his start with the organization, that King series where he battled that team out of a hole, and they end up losing that series still, but it was kind of a sign of this guy's the future. Not like he wasn't just the future of the Ducks; he was the future of the USA hockey goaltending. I have the Team North America World Cup jersey. He was on that team.
He was on the World Juniors Championship roster.
Yeah, he was just like, he was truly like a rock to build the franchise on. I remember saying at the time, he is the goalie that the Ducks will win their next Stanley Cup with. And then all those Game 7 losses piled up, unfortunately, and he split some of those with Frederik Andersen. But the opportunities go away, and then the Ducks finally fall into the retooling period before the rebuilding period, and he had to plug a lot of holes in the dam for a long time, and he was a good soldier through it all. And it's a shame that he doesn't get to be here on the other side of it. Like there are guys I think about in Ducks franchise history that just missed out on the Stanley Cup, for example. Like Ruslan Saleh got traded the year before the Ducks win the cup, and it's like Rusty was there for a very long time. He was on the 03 team that went to the final, a lot of good years, and just didn't get to see the fruits of the labor ultimately. And Gibson didn't even get to a cup final out of all of that. But he was a good soldier every night, never complained really. He let his frustrations out more than once, and Troy Terry alluded to that when I talked to him the day before. He's like, what did he say exactly? I hope he just doesn't come after any of us because I know he's prone to do it. And he said it with a smile, knowing that they could get in there and poke him around a little bit. I saw every time that there was a meeting around the crease, one or two guys would say something to Gibson and sort of have a conversation with him. He'll be beloved by the team. I don't think he's a guy that'll end up getting his number retired or anything like that. despite his franchise numbers. But uh, just a good guy, a wonderful part of the community, especially too. He was big in the community with his charity efforts and sled hockey stuff, and that's the stuff that he kept wanting to talk about when people would ask him about it. He's not a guy for personal accolades. He's not a guy for personal recognition, but he enjoyed being part of this community, this team, and he will be a fondly remembered Anaheim Duck, no matter where he ends up the rest of his career.
Yeah. Initial thoughts on John Gibson. I remember him on the 2013 World Juniors team. They won gold in the World Juniors. Just pulled it up. He's 11th. He's tied for 10th in games played among American-born goalies. Looking at the list here, minus a Stanley Cup. This is a guy that is a top 10 goaltender in American history. He's not only a franchise goaltender for the Anaheim Ducks, but a franchise American goaltender, right? You know, the Van Beesbrooks, the Quicks, the Ryan Millers, Hellebucks, Richters, guys like that. That's the sentence I put him in. Jimmy Howard's.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Gibson too, like you mentioned some of those guys, he was in the same generation as Hellebuck, so he never got like the Olympic recognition.
Johnny Quick when
and Quick too.
But Johnny Gibson, a standing career with the Ducks. Would be nice to see him reunited at some point if possible. It'd be very fun if that was a possibility.
You know, the Ducks could probably use a solid backup goaltender these days.
They could. Anything more?
Gibby deserves to be a starter. He needs to be where he is. Yeah.
Anything more on the Ducks front? We've been recording for a little bit here. Want to close out with some World Series stuff and a little Angel stuff if we have time. But anything more with the Ducks, Jack?
Yeah, just real quick, just looking at their next schedule for the week. Their next 4 games are against all their opponents in their next 4 games are in the top 10 in point percentage. So big week for the Ducks. Obviously, they took care of business against Dallas more or less last night. They got a huge test tomorrow night in Vegas. That'll be the one I'm circling. Well, I'm also circling Colorado. Colorado's nasty this year. But I think Vegas...
Aren't they trading Nathan McKinnon, though?
He'll be a Duck come March, yeah.
Right.
What would it take for the Ducks to get him? They renamed the city Nathan.
He gets his own chunk of OC vibe.
Gets to sit on the throne with Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, like Jack said.
Sorry, Zach. No, sorry, Jack. Sorry.
I'm in line with Jack there. I think it's cliche to say the next game is the most important game, but truly, I think like even of all this stretch, I want to know how they play against Vegas, because Vegas has been like the thorn in the Ducks side since they came into the league. And when it comes to establishing order of the Pacific Division, this is the team you're going to have to go through if you want to either win the division, make the playoffs, win a round in the playoffs. You're going to have to go through Vegas at some point. And very curious to see what this new offensive push can do against a very solid, again, an annoyingly solid Vegas Golden Knights team.
So on that note, and Jack, maybe this is where you're heading with it, I want to go to you on it, is same note for Colorado? Because if you get through Vegas, you're going to have to go through Colorado.
Yes, obviously Colorado in the Central, so you only have to deal with them really in the playoffs to get through. But yeah, I mean they're the best team in hockey right now. I think Vegas would be better if they had a healthy goaltender in Aiden Hill. But still, Mark Stone too. But I mean, Vegas was the Stanley Cup favorites, I think, heading into the season, and obviously Colorado's been good for years as well. Then they go on and play Detroit, and they have Winnipeg on Sunday. So it's going to be a tough week for them. It's going to be real interesting to see how they fare out. And as we approach the Thanksgiving mark, that's when things really start to kind of settle in. I think this is going to be probably one of the biggest weeks. I haven't looked at the schedules down the stretch later in the season, but this might be one of the most important weeks for the Ducks season, just to see where they're at as a measuring stick.
It's easy. It's easy to fall out of a playoff spot early, but the only way to not do that is to win these games. And if you bank these points early, you will get a longer leash later. And it's important that they're doing this against the teams they're doing it against. And it's a tough month. I think I said 10 of the 15 teams they played this month were playoff teams last year. And that's not including Utah. That's not including Detroit. That's not including Vancouver, who are all in that mix of trying to make a push. So this is a very difficult month. And so far they're 3-0. in November. So
One thing you
see how it
meant,
goes.
one thing you mentioned how Vegas has always been a thorn on the Ducks side. Vegas, the Ducks have the lowest points percentage against Vegas Golden Knights of any team they played in franchise history. They are 8-2-0 or 8-22-0 against Vegas.
Yeah.
8-22,
And
0-5. I don't know why they
again,
have that's ties. That's
so
why.
Vegas has been around for what, 6-7 years now?
17, 18.
2007,
So that's
2017,
8
18.
years ago.
Okay, so but
Oh yeah.
again, have the Ducks made the playoffs since Vegas has been a franchise?
First year, that was it.
That was it, yeah. and even then, like, so to the point being that Vegas came in and hit the ground running as a franchise, as much as that disgusts me. Um, they and while the Ducks were going down, so like some of that is skewed
It's
by
a
the Ducks
perfect,
being
yeah,
bad
yeah.
and Vegas being really good, but yeah,
Still, in T-Mobile Arena, the Ducks have a 3-2-3. I keep skipping the first number. 3-12-3
yeah,
record in T-Mobile Arena.
very
So,
bad in
and
Vegas.
Saturday
Yeah.
night is famously in Vegas. So that's going to be a tough one for them. So we'll see what they do.
Sorry to move on, guys. Just to move on, keeping a little bit of pacing. Last notes, Angel stuff. World Series thoughts. We talked a lot in our last episode about the World Series. I think Game 3 alone could have been hours to talk about. Game 7, Game 6 alone could have been hours to talk about. Real quick, everyone's thoughts. World Series. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers, back-to-back world champions. Obviously, congratulations to the Toronto Blue Jays, American League champions, and put up a really fun fight. I think it was a blast of a World Series. One of the best World Series I've seen. So, Thomas, thoughts on the World Series? Anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, yeah, congratulations to the Dodgers, back-to-back champions. That's really impressive. We haven't had a back-to-back champion since the Yankees did it, the late 90s, early 2000s. So it's been a long time coming, and it just shows how difficult the sport of baseball is. And also, I know there's a lot of people out there that are upset about the payroll, all that kind of stuff, but like how many times have we seen these teams go out and try to win a World Series? Notably, most recently, aside from the Dodgers, the New York Mets, and look how much of a disaster that was for them. Um, so, I it was a great World Series, and the Toronto Blue Jays just played phenomenal. It was probably the most entertaining World Series I've seen in a long, long time, and it literally had everything from Game 1 to Game 7. um, Dave Roberts made a lot of great calls, especially, decisions, especially in Game 7. Now he's a three-time World Series winning manager. Um, he's believe he's made five World Series now at this point, like as a manager. Yeah. Astros won, Red Sox. So, at this point, I'm looking at Dave Roberts, and I think he's one of the best managers in baseball right now. And I think last week he punched his ticket in for the Hall of Fame. I think he's a Hall of Fame manager, and I'm gonna stand by that. Blue Jays were just fantastic, though. A lot of great players on that team. Addison Barger was awesome. Ernie Clement was awesome. Dalton Varsho, Vladdy, Bo Bichette. I mean, the list goes on and on. Trey Savage. So many good players that are coming up in that team. And I think Toronto is going to be a pretty good team for a long time, better than we all expected. And, they might start to kind of run the American League East for a while now. But yeah, no, it was awesome World Series, so much fun. And yeah, I'm just really enjoyed it.
Um, yeah, coming back to just one thing I want to come back to. Everyone could afford a
Yeah.
payroll on that. Every owner in baseball could afford that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
the payroll
Definitely.
crap, and that's going to be why we're going to a lockout because the Dodgers won the World Series. Screw that. Rob Manfred's an idiot. Zach, what do you got? World Series thoughts?
Yeah, congratulations to two-time world champion Shohei Ohtani. Mark's safe from being put in a Kings jersey. By the way, every time the Dodgers go to there, he never wears the Kings jersey, but he has worn a Ducks jersey before. So, um, I can't imagine how like. I think I have to hope that all the Blue Jays fans have been hardened by all the years of Maple Leaf playoff defeats, that one doesn't stick with them, because like you look at it and they are literally that far away from winning the World Championship. That slide into home plate. If they take, I know the third base coach told them to stay there. but come on,
It's
like how do you not go for it? How does that happen? And then for all the extra innings nonsense, and I have to feel so badly for the Blue Jays. Like that is as close as you can come, because they outmetric the Dodgers at every single point in that series, and yet the Dodgers are the ones that walk away with the World Championship. That has to be incredibly frustrating, and for a team that doesn't get there all the time, soul crushing. But again, the Maple Leafs have done enough to them over the years, so maybe they're okay with it. Yeah, it's just the Dodgers keep winning, and Clayton Kershaw, congratulations to him on going out a champ. He was a delight at the ceremony afterwards, and yeah, just I think the thing that makes all this Angel stuff even worse too is to see Shohei doing this and to see all this happening up the road, right? Like, not that the Angels and Dodgers are true rivals or anything like that, but just like it's right there. You see
oh
what
no,
the blueprint is, and you're just not following it.
it yeah. Um,
Is this what
you
the
mentioned,
Mets feel like? Oh my god.
oh, it's got to be right across the entire nation. One thing you mentioned, the Blue Jays that close to winning a World Series. Shout out, I don't know who the home plate umpire was, but shout out for making the right call and not having to deal with a celebration to have it overturned. That would have been madness. So shout out whoever the home plate umpire was. Insane. Jack, World Series thoughts?
Yeah, Zach, like you guys were just talking about that close. I mean, they're a slide away from winning the World Series. They're an Andy Pajes shoulder check away from winning a World Series, which I don't know. Did Andy Pajes get a call from an NHL player safety after?
Yeah.
Do we get a call on that?
Well,
And then
slider down. It was a good pitch that Rojas hit too.
yeah, I mean they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
2 outs away from a World Series. I mean there's so many points that the Blue Jays had it. And the Dodgers, for as big and mighty as they seem with their payroll and the stars they have, like they really didn't look that dominant outside of their starting rotation, really. Because like offensively, they just looked tired. Only Shohei, Freddie Freeman, and Teoscar Hernandez were the only ones that contributed consistently throughout that series. Everybody else, they would have a moment, but then nothing really else after that. Um, yeah, and it's a team that's old. They're one of the older rosters in baseball, and they make the playoffs and they make deep runs every single year. So all of that's going to add up over time. So they just look tired offensively. And then we knew the game plan heading into the playoffs. They have a good offense when they're hot. They have a really good rotation and a very suspect bullpen. And you saw it firsthand. They had to use starters in the bullpen in how many games because they
Game
didn't
7,
trust.
they didn't use a bullpen guy,
Exactly.
right? All starters.
Roki. They use Roki, but
Okay, yeah.
he came into
So-
the season as a starting pitcher.
Starter.
Yeah. So there's a game plan to beat the Dodgers. The Blue Jays had it. It just didn't fall their way. They got I don't know if I want to say unlucky because you can't. I don't know. Either way, the Blue Jays had it. But I just want to shout some guys out in the Blue Jays. Addison Barger, a 471 batting average, 1147 OPS in the World Series. Ernie Clement, he was unbelievable in the postseason. He hit 391 as a whole on the whole postseason, 318 in the World Series alone. And I kept seeing people online saying, "Who the hell is Ernie Clement?" This and that, whatever. And I'm like, how do you like? He's played 2 full seasons. In both seasons, he's
So
been
good.
at least a 3.5 WAR player. This year, he
So
was
good.
4.3 WAR player. He's a good baseball player, and I think I mentioned this on the Lost Pod. I love Bill Plaschke of the LA Times. I think he does great work. He's a great columnist. But he had a line after Game 5 loss. I think it was after Game 5 where he called the Blue Jays Vlad Guerrero, Bo Bichette, and a bunch of overachievers, and that just couldn't be further from the truth. They the Blue Jays have a deep lineup. They don't have superstars that the Dodgers do, but they have a deep lineup of guys that can play baseball. It's not just like, oh, put the ball in play, bunt a guy over and all that. No, like they have guys that can hit the ball hard. They just don't hit for the power that the Dodgers do as consistently. They can put the ball out of the yard. They can put balls in the gap. They played great defense this postseason, I thought, especially in the World Series. Dalton Varsho's a great center fielder. Vlad Guerrero made a bunch of plays at first base. Yeah, and my last point was just tip of the cap to the Blue Jays starting pitching and just pitching in general. They had
Brady
a
Savage. Oof.
Yeah, they had a team ERA of 3.06 in the World Series, counting their spotty bullpen. But especially the starting pitchers heading into this World Series, if you combine both teams or if you compared both teams, the offenses were relatively the same. The bullpens were relatively the same, but the starting pitching had such a big gap heading into it. And I thought the Blue Jays starting pitching did a phenomenal job of keeping them in the ball game every single game and really giving them the chance to win the World Series. And it just didn't fall their way. But overall, I mean, I was born in 2000, so my earliest memories of World Series are probably like 2005, 2004. This was, I think, by far the best World Series that I have seen.
I've
Yeah,
been
it's either this or
reincarnated.
2016, right? Those are kind of the other two
Yes,
that
I was trying
match
to come
up.
up with a top five list, and I had this one, 2016, 2014, and 2011.
2002.
I was going to say
Um,
2002 is actually way up there.
it actually is,
I
yeah.
was still in a
Go ahead.
diaper, so
2002 was a really good World Series, man.
Yeah.
Um,
it was. Yeah, I
y-
like
Seems like it,
over COVID, that was so much fun to watch back all those games when they were getting aired on Bally or whatever they
ancient
were at the
history,
time.
ancient history at this point. Um,
Go ahead.
it's the Blue Jays felt so much like a team of destiny that just couldn't. That in that destiny moment, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth, World Series on the line, Game 7, and it just doesn't get done. I was surprised by how into that game I got, and I was sitting there with my girlfriend. I was just like, this is what this is supposed to feel like. Like I love baseball. I really do, especially when you get in these moments where like I'm watching. We were watching at a friend's house, and they're not. Some of them aren't sports people at all, but they're certainly not baseball people, and they're just like, this is intense. Like, yeah, when baseball is at its best, it's at two speeds. It's either July three run game, sixth inning, you're hanging out in the sun, eating a hot dog and drinking a beer, and then the other speed is it's October 14th. You're in the bottom of the ninth. It's a tie game. The championship's on the line, and every bead of sweat means that much more than the next one. Um, and that's the sort of stuff that I miss seeing at the Big A. It's the sort of tension that I've missed in hockey games that almost is feeling like it's coming back, but the way this Ducks team is kind of going back and forth. Um, so it was certainly a fun World Series, and I I'm sorry, Blue Jays. That should have been like one of those wonderful moments, and instead the Dodgers just sort of fell into another title. Good for them
um,
though.
you guys mentioned a few things and kind of focus on. I watched the games with. I watched four of the games with my buddy who's from outside of Toronto, so that
Mm.
was an adventure in itself, and that was fun. Gave him my Roy Halladay jersey, by the way. I think I told you guys I have that Roy Halladay jersey. And then my wife's family, Dodger fans out here and stuff. So kind of split the series. And it's incredible. The whole community up here shut down. It seemed like a lot of California shut down for this kind of stuff, but the whole community up here in the mountain shut down to watch these games. That's the way it felt. It felt very fun to have that as a moment. And a
Wasn't
lot
the
of people
18
have,
inning game like a 66 share
yeah,
on TV
oh, it was
locally?
incredible.
Yeah, it's
It was
what
great. It
nuts.
was nice to have that, man. To have a community feel of, and there was a divide too. That was the cool thing about being up here on the mountain is you've got a ton of Dodger fans because it's local, but you also had a lot of Blue Jays fans, which was really cool because we're in the mountains. We have Canadian exports and stuff like that. But just a few things that I noted, and we could talk for hours about the series, but two moments, incredibly pivotal moments for me. Teoscar's relay to Tommy Edman to the plate to Will Smith. That was in game three. That was actually in like the eighth inning of game three. That was way before. That was the first half of the game. I thought that was a pivotal moment. And also, obviously, the most of a pivotal moment, Miguel Rojas throwing home, getting the runner home. If this was truly Miguel Rojas' last game, because there are rumors that he is thinking about retiring, I don't think he should. He's still got a lot of baseball left in him. But if that was his last game, Miguel Rojas goes out on the top of all tops. He hits a game-tying home run. He has the game-saving play, the season-saving play, World Series. Miguel Rojas is a really good guy. He's a really good guy. And if that's the way he goes out, oh my gosh, he can never go better. So congrats to Miguel Rojas. in particular, everyone on the Dodgers roster, Miguel Rojas in particular on that. And congratulations to the city of Toronto for not burning down the city, such as the fan bases that I am attached to, and also the Thomas is attached to. Go Eagles! Don't burn down the city, please. No, Toronto was fantastic. It was beautiful. It's a great city. It's a great fan base. It's an incredible organization. I already had my initiative. I think I was in the 8th inning or something. I had my tweet ready to go to congratulate the Blue Jays on the World Series, and I had congrats to Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, many others. It's a great organization. They should be proud of what they did. Also, the Dodgers, another obviously very great organization. So, congrats to the Dodgers.
Congrats to all of our Sporting Tribune teammates that were all over that.
Absolutely.
There at Dodger Stadium all year.
Angel stuff we're gonna save for next show. Two things or real brief things. Munetaka Murakami was posted today, or will be posted today. He is a power hitting corner infielder, very high end designated hitter type is the way I would put it. Going to strike out a frickin' ton, but the guy hits for power. Going to be in the market, kind of similar to Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber. Also, Tatsuya Imai is expected to be posted, as is Kazuma Okamoto. Okamoto has been one of the best hitters in Japan for the last decade or so at this point. And someone that you guys should have your name you should circle that name when it comes to the Angels this offseason. There is mutual interest on both sides to a fair degree. So that is a name that you guys should have circled. Kazuma Okamoto, corner infield bat, full heavy kind of. I've gotten 2 comparisons for him, and it's both Tommy Pham. So feel like signing Tommy Pham. Any Angel stuff, baseball stuff. I feel like Jack and Thomas are too young to understand that reference.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know that reference?
I think that one just went over my head.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be Jose Canseco. You can be Hideo Nomo? Guys, come on.
Oh, I've never seen that commercial.
I mean, I know who those players
are. It's not a commercial.
are.
No. Oh, no.
I know
guys.
they are, but I've never seen that.
So it's from the movie Liar Liar. And Jim Carrey gives this kid like Jim Carrey's the.
Wait, I've seen that movie.
Well, he's like the deadbeat dad, right? But he gives the kid a box of stuff. It's a present because it's his birthday, and it's like a baseball and a glove, and the kid's like, baseball stuff. You guys are. Hey.
I can't remember it. I've seen that movie too.
Liar Liars.
Yeah. No, I know the movie. I just don't.
You gotta go back
scene is not.
And then the kid, they say, "Can we go play in the backyard? I'll be Jose Canseco. You can be Hideo Nomo."
What a pair! What a pair to pick.
Freaking children, man. Well, the movie's from like '95.
Sure. I was 5.
Jack, you get forgiveness.
I was
because you don't
just
watch
born.
Movies. Zach, you have a movie podcast. You have no forgiveness, and Thomas, I just generally don't. No, sorry. Any of the guy, baseball stuff, hockey stuff, any closing thoughts? Anything?
I have one hockey stuff. I'm sending it to the group chat. So Team Canada released their Olympic uniforms yesterday.
Yeah, they're awful.
These are awful.
You got to see it.
I've already seen them. They're awful.
Terrible. They have this diamond beveled leaf, which is fine, I guess, on the white. But on the red jersey, the maple leaf is black. On the black jersey, the maple leaf is black. The waist stripes don't go all the way around.
Yeah.
And on the white jersey, the red stripes are 2 different colors. Why?
I couldn't have told you that.
They're 2 different reds. The numbers look stupid.
Just give them Blue Jays.
You know what's funny?
Bad.
I'm colorblind. I would never have known those 2 stripes are different unless you said
the only way I knew, Jack, is because they made a graphic telling me that, hey, these 2 stripes are 2 different reds. And I looked at them like, they are, but why? It's like, well, because the maple leaf has all the bevels, so there's different shades. It's like, no, just make them red. Your flag is red and white. Be red and white. In
my eyes, because I see the 2 stripes as the same color, the white jerseys wouldn't be bad if the stripes went all the way around.
Yeah, and they
why do they stop?
I don't know. I don't know. Which makes me this makes me fearful for whatever Team USA ends up putting out, because they did like the 6 guys that went on the initial roster. They put them in the perfect Team USA jerseys, the blue with the block USA and the red, white, and blue stripes on the arms, and classic I hope that's what it is.
Yes.
But I'm afraid that they're like, well, we need to sell jerseys, so we got to make something new. And it's
Bald
going to be
eagle.
like, yeah,
Screaming Eagle.
it's going to be
Screaming
like
eagle.
eagle wings down the arms or
Right.
something. Yeah.
It'd be like the Oregon Ducks uniform, but backwards with
Yeah. Because
no,
this is all Nike in charge of this too. Like the Canada uniforms are officially labeled as Bauer, which is a division of Nike.
yeah, Nike
now,
does a good job
but-
on some things. They do a horrible job on the other some things.
Yeah. Finland's
So it's-
jerseys looked okay. I liked Finland's.
One more baseball thing. And I mentioned in the Lost show. I'm a huge Brad Paisley fan. He's my favorite musician. But just a Brad Paisley note that was brought out. It was a stat brought out by Sarah Wexler. Brad Paisley has sung the national anthem for 4 games. I won't go into detail, but basically every one of the games he has been the national anthem singer has gone to extra innings, including 2 18-inning games in the World Series. So pretty wild stuff. Big Brad Paisley fan, and I watched his response to that, finding out he thought he's so happy to be a baseball statistic, really happy to be a baseball statistic. So I thought it was really cool. And as Zach noted to me yesterday, he knows Brad Paisley is a guy from the State Farm commercial. No, Nationwide commercials.
I know the Ticks song in
Yeah.
online. That's the only things I know about Brad Paisley.
We could go into a deep argument about his best albums, best stuff. Huge. And Thomas, you're an Eagles fan, right?
I am.
Name 3 of their songs. No.
Yeah, it's called.
No. Anything else, guys? Closing out. Call it what it is.
Oh, man.
I'll just say this. You know, it's worse than those uniforms you gave Zach. The Great Britain WBC uniforms.
The ones
Yeah,
that
those
were
are-
peeling off the jerseys.
Yeah. Those are the worst
TGB.
jerseys I've ever seen.
Yeah. those aren't great.
All right. Question of the day, the week, etc. You get to keep 1, eliminate 2. Cobra Starship, Gym Class Heroes, or 303. And yes, I did say it in English this time, Jack.
Huh. It's funny because I really only think of like one song from each one of those 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep Gym Class Heroes just because I know more of their songs, and I don't know anything else but the other 2 guys or 2 people.
Yeah.
I saw
I'll go Cobra Starship. Yeah.
I saw Cobra Starship open for Mayday Parade and Jack's Main. Were great. Big Cobra Star. I like them.
Yeah.
Thomas, which one you got? Which one you keep?
I don't really listen to either of the 3, but I'll go Gym Class Heroes because
All right.
Fall Out Boy founded them.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Did not
I
know
believe
that.
they founded them.
Good stuff.
Yeah, they're part of that like
Um,
Ramen Records thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Weekend plans, guys. What do we got? Anything fun? Thomas, what do you got going on this weekend? Trying to feel better?
Yeah, laying in bed.
What a legend. What a stud. No, I'm sorry. Thanks for sticking around with us, guys. As we said at the start of the show, Thomas wasn't feeling all that great. So give Thomas an attaboy. You guys can follow Thomas Murray on socials at Thomas_L_Murray. Zach, what do you got going on this weekend, dude?
High school football tonight. Playoffs begin in earnest. And then hockey. Watching the Ducks play Vegas Saturday, and then literally going to the game for the Winnipeg one. I thought about going to Vegas for that game, but it's such a quick turnaround that it's really not like worth the
Fair.
effort that it would take to go there. Plus the money and
Yeah.
But
Jack,
hey,
oh,
no, that's it.
you guys can follow Zach Kavanaugh on socials at ZachCav, ZachCav, covers the Ducks for the Sporting Tribune. Jack, what do you got, man?
Like I said at the top of the episode, busy week for school for me, so I am dead tired. So a lot of sleep, a lot of watching hockey.
Nice. You guys can follow Jack Janes on socials at JackJanes_. On my end, just had an wedding anniversary. So we're doing more anniversary stuff as we go on to the next weekend. I think we're going to go to the aquarium as I also work on some Baseball America Handbook stuff. So got the top 10 prospects filed. So you guys can bug me about that at a later. You guys follow me on socials at Taylor Blake Ward or Wings on Katella. You can find all our work at thesportingtribune.com, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is not paper, whatever. We're going to throw at the camera. Hey, we're getting out of here. Everyone have a great week. Get out of here. Bye. Go away. Go get sleep. Have fun. Go watch hockey. Bye.